Why would someone call the police over a cashier's frown? The question hung in the air like a storm cloud ready to burst. In a small, sunlit grocery store in suburban Ohio, the day started like any other. Shelves were stocked with vibrant produce. The hum of fluorescent lights filled the air, and the faint jingle of a bell signaled customers coming and going. Maya, a 19-year-old cashier with tired eyes and a polite nod, scanned items with mechanical precision. Her life wasn't easy, working double shifts to pay for community college, caring for her younger brother, and dodging her landlord's late notices. But she kept her head down and her hands moving. Today, though, the air felt heavier. A woman stormed through the sliding doors, her heels clicking like gunfire on the linoleum floor. Karen Whitmore, 42, was a regular, but not the kind anyone looked forward to. Her blonde bob was sharp, her purse clutched like a weapon, and her eyes scanned the store for something, anything, to complain about. She wore entitlement like a second skin, her voice already rising as she approached Maya's register. "You didn't smile," Karen snapped, slamming a carton of organic eggs onto the counter. Maya blinked, caught off guard. "I'm sorry, ma'am. I didn't mean." "Don't you dare talk back." Karen's voice cut through the store, drawing stares. Customers paused mid-aisle, their carts creaking to a stop. Maya's cheeks burned, but she kept scanning, her fingers trembling. Karen wasn't done. She leaned in, her manicured nails tapping the counter. "I'm calling the police. You're rude, and I won't stand for it." The threat landed like a punch. Maya's heart raced, but she forced herself to stay calm. She'd dealt with difficult customers before, but this was different. This was a woman who saw her as less than human, a target for her rage. The store manager, Tom, a wiry man in his 50s, hovered nearby, unsure whether to intervene. Karen pulled out her phone, dialing 911 with theatrical flair, her voice loud enough for everyone to hear. "Yes, I'm at Greenleaf Market, and the cashier is being hostile. I feel unsafe." Customers whispered, some shaking their heads, others filming on their phones. Maya's throat tightened. She wanted to scream, to tell this woman she was just trying to survive, but she couldn't. Not here, not now. The air crackled with tension as Karen continued her tirade, her words a venomous stream of complaints about service, respect, and her rights as a customer. The bell jingled again, and two police officers stepped inside, their boots heavy on the floor. Officer Daniels, a broad-shouldered man with a no-nonsense demeanor, scanned the scene. His partner, Officer Ruiz, a younger woman with sharp eyes, stood beside him. "What's going on here?" Daniels asked, his voice calm but firm. Karen launched into her story, gesturing wildly at Maya. "This girl was rude, refused to smile, and made me feel threatened." Maya's hands froze on the scanner. She wanted to defend herself, but fear glued her lips shut. Tom stepped forward, wringing his hands. "It's just a misunderstanding, officers. Maya's one of our best." Karen scoffed, crossing her arms. "You're all in on it, protecting her." The officers exchanged a glance. Daniels turned to Maya. "Miss, can you tell us your side?" Maya's voice was barely a whisper. "I was just doing my job. I didn't mean to upset her." The store felt like a pressure cooker, every eye on Maya, Karen, and the officers. Then, in a moment that would haunt everyone present, Karen reached into her purse, pulled out a fistful of coins, and hurled them at Maya. The coins struck Maya's chest, clattering to the floor like tiny bullets. Gasps filled the air. A child in a nearby cart started crying. Maya stumbled back, her eyes wide with shock. Karen's face twisted with fury. "That's what you get for disrespecting me," she shrieked. Officer Ruiz stepped forward, her hand on her radio. "Ma'am, you need to calm down. Now." The scene was chaos, a collision of rage and disbelief, and it was only the beginning. The coins lay scattered across the floor, glinting under the harsh store lights like evidence of a crime. Maya's chest heaved, her breath shallow, as she fought to keep her composure. The sting of the coins wasn't just physical. It was the humiliation, the weight of being reduced to nothing in front of strangers. Customers stood frozen, their phones still recording, capturing every second of the escalating drama. Officer Daniels raised a hand, his voice cutting through the tension. "Ma'am, that was assault. Step back." Karen's eyes widened, her lips parting in disbelief. "Assault? She provoked me. I'm the victim here." Her voice cracked, but there was no sympathy in the air. Officer Ruiz, her expression hardening, moved closer to Karen. You threw objects at her. That's not how this works. Maya's hands trembled as she gripped the edge of the counter, her mind racing. She wanted to run, to hide, but she couldn't. Not with everyone watching, not with her job on the line. Tom, the manager, finally found his voice. Karen, you've gone too far. You need to leave. Karen spun on him, her face red. You're firing me as a customer? I spend hundreds here every week. Her words were a desperate grasp at control, but the room wasn't hers anymore. The officers were closing in, and the crowd's murmurs grew louder, a mix of outrage and disbelief. Then came the twist no one saw coming. A woman stepped forward from the crowd, her face flushed with anger. She was older, maybe in her 60s, with gray hair pulled into a tight bun. Her name was Evelyn, a retired teacher who shopped at Greenleaf every week. She'd been silent until now, but her voice carried weight. I saw everything, she said, pointing at Karen. This young lady did nothing wrong. But you, she jabbed a finger at Karen. You've been bullying people here for years. I've seen you yell at staff, demand discounts, and make scenes. Enough is enough. The store fell silent. Karen's mouth opened, then closed, like a fish gasping for air. Evelyn wasn't done. You called the police over a smile? You threw coins at a kid working her tail off? Shame on you. The crowd murmured in agreement, a wave of support rising from Maya. Karen's confidence cracked, her eyes darting around, searching for an ally but finding none. Maya felt a flicker of hope, but it was short-lived. Karen's face hardened again, and she doubled down. You're all liars, she spat, turning to the officers. Arrest her, not me. She's the one causing trouble. Officer Daniels shook his head. Ma'am, we're taking you in for assault. You can explain yourself at the station. Karen's scream echoed through the store as Ruiz gently but firmly took her arm. The crowd parted, some shaking their heads, others whispering to each other. Maya stood frozen, her heart pounding, as Karen was let out in handcuffs, still shouting about her rights. The bell jingled as the officers escorted her through the doors, and for a moment, the store was quiet. Tom approached Maya, his face apologetic. You okay, kid? She nodded, but her eyes were wet. She wasn't okay, not yet. The coins on the floor felt like a symbol of something bigger, something she couldn't quite name. As customers began to move again, their carts creaking, Maya bent down to pick up the coins, one by one. Each one felt heavier than it should, a reminder of the weight she carried every day. But Evelyn's words lingered, a spark of solidarity in a world that often felt cold. Outside, the police car pulled away, Karen's silhouette visible in the back seat. Maya didn't know it yet, but this moment would change everything, not just for her, but for the entire community. The police car's red and blue lights flashed through the store's front windows, painting the aisles in a surreal glow. Maya stood behind the counter, her hands still shaking as she swept the last of the coins into a small pile. The crowd had dispersed, but their whispers lingered, a low hum of judgment and curiosity. Evelyn, the older woman who'd spoken up, lingered near the register, her eyes soft with concern. You don't deserve that, sweetheart, she said quietly. Maya managed a weak smile, but her chest felt tight, like the air itself was pressing down on her. She wanted to thank Evelyn, to say something, but words felt out of reach. The bell jingled again, and a new customer walked in, oblivious to the drama that had just unfolded. Life moved on, but Maya felt stuck, replaying Karen's rage, the sting of the coins, the officers' stern faces. Tom, the manager, hovered nearby, his face a mix of guilt and relief. Take a break, Maya, he said. I'll cover the register. She nodded, slipping into the break room, where the fluorescent lights felt harsher than usual. Sitting on a rickety chair, she buried her face in her hands, trying to steady her breathing. The door creaked open, and Evelyn followed her in, uninvited but not unwelcome. I meant what I said out there, Evelyn began, sitting across from her. That woman's been trouble for years. But you're stronger than you know. Maya looked up, her eyes glassy. I didn't do anything. I just stood there. Evelyn shook her head. You kept your dignity. That's more than she can say. The words sank in, slow and warm, like sunlight breaking through clouds. But the moment of calm was shattered when Tom poked his head in. Maya, the police need a statement. They're back. Her stomach dropped. She followed Tom out, Evelyn trailing behind, her presence a quiet anchor. Outside, Officer Ruiz stood by the counter, notepad in hand. "We just need your account of what happened," she said, her tone gentle but professional. Maya recounted the incident, her voice steadier than she expected. She described Karen's complaints, the coins, the chaos. Ruiz nodded, jotting down notes. "You did the right thing, staying calm," she said. "We've got witnesses, and the store's cameras caught everything." Maya exhaled, a weight lifting, but not entirely. The cameras. She hadn't even thought about them. The truth was on her side, but the thought of reliving this moment on grainy footage made her skin crawl. As Ruiz left, Evelyn squeezed Maya's shoulder. "This isn't over, but you're not alone." The words carried her through the rest of her shift, though the store felt different now, like a stage where a play had gone horribly wrong. By the time Maya clocked out, the sun was setting, casting long shadows across the parking lot. She walked home, her sneakers scuffing the pavement, her mind a tangle of fear and defiance. At home, her younger brother, Liam, was sprawled on the couch, playing video games. "Rough day?" he asked, glancing up. She nodded, too tired to explain. But as she sank onto the couch beside him, her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Check the local news page. You're a hero." Confused, she opened the link. A blurry video from the store was circulating online, posted by a customer. The headline read, "Local woman arrested after attacking cashier over a smile." Comments flooded in, most supporting Maya, calling her brave, condemning Karen. But some were cruel, accusing Maya of provoking the incident, of being ungrateful for her job. The words stung, but the support outweighed the hate. She set her phone down, her heart racing. This wasn't just her story anymore, it was everyone's. The video spread like wildfire, shared across social media, local news sites, and even picked up by a few national outlets. By morning, Maya's name was everywhere, tied to hashtags like Justice for Maya and Karen Goes Wild. She woke to hundreds of notifications, supportive messages, angry rants, and even a few interview requests from reporters. Her small apartment felt smaller, the walls closing in as she scrolled through the comments. Some called her a victim, others a symbol of resilience, but all she felt was exposed. Liam, her brother, peeked over her shoulder. "You're famous," he said, half joking. She forced a laugh, but her stomach churned. Fame wasn't what she wanted. She just wanted to pay her bills, finish her degree, and keep her head above water. At the store, the atmosphere had shifted. Customers stared, some offering kind words, others snapping sneaky photos. Tom had posted a sign on the door, "We support our staff." It was a small gesture, but it meant something. Still, Maya felt like she was under a microscope. The day passed in a blur of scans and small talk, but the tension never left her shoulders. Around noon, a man in a suit approached the register. He introduced himself as David, a lawyer offering pro bono services. "I saw the video," he said. "You've got a case against Karen for assault, maybe even defamation. I can help." Maya hesitated. A lawsuit sounded overwhelming, but the idea of holding Karen accountable sparked something in her. She thanked him, taking his card. That evening, she met Evelyn at a local diner, seeking advice. The older woman sipped her coffee, her eyes sharp. "You don't have to fight her, Maya, but if you do, it's not just for you. It's for every kid who's been treated like dirt by someone like her." The words hit hard. Maya thought of her brother, of the other cashiers, of every underpaid worker who'd ever swallowed their pride to keep their job. She called David the next day, agreeing to meet. But the confrontation wasn't over. Karen, out on bail, had posted a video online, tearfully claiming she was the real victim, that Maya had provoked her, that the store was a hotbed of disrespect. The lies stung, but they also fueled Maya's resolve. The twist came when a former Greenleaf employee, Sarah, reached out. She'd worked with Maya years ago and had her own story about Karen. A similar incident, swept under the rug because Sarah couldn't afford to fight back. "She's done this before," Sarah said over the phone. "You're not the first." The revelation was a gut punch. Karen wasn't just a one-time outburst. She was a pattern, a predator who targeted those she saw as powerless. Maya's fear turned to anger. She met with David, laying out everything. Her story, Sarah's, the video evidence. He nodded, his expression grim. "We've got a strong case, but it won't be easy. She's got money, connections. Maya didn't care. She was done being invisible. The legal battle loomed, but so did something bigger, a chance to reclaim her voice, to stand up not just for herself, but for everyone Karen had hurt. As she left David's office, the sky was gray, rain threatening, but Maya felt a spark of something new: purpose. The courthouse steps were cold under Maya's feet, the autumn wind biting through her thin jacket. Inside, the air was thick with anticipation, the wooden benches creaking under the weight of spectators. Karen sat across the room, her lawyer whispering in her ear, her face a mask of defiance. Maya's hands clenched in her lap, David at her side, his calm presence grounding her. The judge, a stern woman with gray streaks in her hair, called the room to order. The trial had begun. David presented the evidence: the store's security footage, witness statements from Evelyn and others, even Sarah's testimony about Karen's past behavior. The video of the coin-throwing incident played on a screen, the room silent except for the clatter of coins and Karen's shrill voice. Maya's cheeks burned as she watched herself on screen, frozen in shock. The crowd murmured, some shaking their heads. Karen's lawyer argued she'd been provoked, painting Maya as unprofessional, but the evidence was damning. Evelyn took the stand, her voice steady as she recounted Karen's history of bullying. Sarah followed, her story eerily similar to Maya's, her voice trembling but resolute. Karen's composure cracked, her eyes darting to the exit. Then came the twist: a third witness, a delivery driver named Jamal who'd overheard Karen bragging about teaching that cashier a lesson to a friend on her phone. The courtroom buzzed. Karen's lawyer objected, but the judge allowed it. Maya's heart pounded. She hadn't known about Jamal, but his words were a lifeline. When Maya took the stand, her voice was soft but clear. She spoke of her life, her struggles, the weight of that day. "I just wanted to do my job," she said, her eyes meeting the judge's. "I didn't deserve to be attacked." The room felt electric, every word carrying weight. Karen's turn came, and she crumbled. Her story unraveled, her tears unconvincing, her excuses flimsy. The judge's gavel fell like a thunderclap: guilty of assault, with a fine and 6 months in jail. Karen's face went pale, her lawyer scrambling to console her. Maya exhaled, the weight of months lifting, but not entirely. Outside, reporters swarmed, cameras flashing. Maya shielded her face, David guiding her through the crowd. Evelyn was there, too, her smile proud. "You did it, kid," she said. But the victory felt hollow. The internet was still a battleground, with trolls attacking Maya, calling her a snowflake, or worse. She'd won in court, but the world outside was messier. At home, Liam hugged her, his pride louder than words. "You're a badass," he said, grinning. She laughed, the sound foreign but welcome. That night, she sat on her couch, scrolling through messages of support from strangers, from other workers who'd faced their own Karens. One message stood out, from a woman named Rosa. "I was a cashier too. Your story gave me courage to speak up. Thank you." Maya's eyes welled up. This wasn't just about her anymore. It was about every person who'd been silenced, every voice drowned out by power or privilege. She wasn't a hero, but she was something better, a spark. The weeks after the trial were a whirlwind. Maya's story had become a rallying cry, a symbol for workers everywhere. Local news ran follow-up stories, and a national talk show invited her to share her experience. She declined, uneasy with the spotlight, but the attention didn't fade. Greenleaf Market gave her a raise and a week off, a small gesture that felt like a bandage on a deeper wound. She spent the time with Liam, playing video games and cooking cheap dinners, trying to reclaim normalcy. But normalcy was gone. Strangers recognized her on the street, some offering high fives, others glaring as if she'd personally wronged them. The internet was a double-edged sword. Support poured in, but so did hate. One comment stuck with her: "You ruined her life over coins." It wasn't true, but it stung. Karen's life wasn't ruined. She'd serve her sentence, pay her fine, and move on. Maya, though, carried the weight of that day like a scar. She met with David again, discussing a civil suit for defamation. Karen's online video, claiming Maya provoked her, had caused real harm. Job applications rejected, whispers following her everywhere. "You've got a case," David said, "but it's your call." Maya wrestled with the decision. Part of her wanted to let it go, to move on, but another part, the part that remembered Evelyn's words, Sarah's story, Jamal's courage, knew she couldn't. She filed the suit, not for money, but for closure. The process was grueling, more paperwork, more meetings, more reliving that day. But something shifted in Maya. She started speaking up, not just for herself, but for others. She joined a local workers' rights group, sharing her story at small meetings in church basements and community centers. The group was a mix of cashiers, baristas, and delivery drivers, all with their own stories of being belittled or abused. Maya's voice, once shaky, grew stronger. She wasn't alone anymore. The twist came when Karen reached out through her lawyer, offering a settlement to drop the defamation suit. The letter was cold, transactional, no apology. Maya stared at it, her hands shaking with anger. She thinks she can buy her way out, she told Evelyn over coffee. Evelyn nodded, her eyes fierce. She's always thought money fixes everything. Show her it doesn't. Maya rejected the settlement, choosing to fight. The decision felt like reclaiming a piece of herself. The civil trial loomed, but Maya was ready. She wasn't the scared girl behind the counter anymore. She was someone who'd faced a storm and come out stronger. At night, she'd sit on her balcony, the city lights flickering below, and think about the people who'd stood by her. Evelyn, Sarah, Jamal, even Tom in his clumsy way. They were her armor, her proof that community could outweigh cruelty. The defamation case wasn't just about Karen anymore. It was about setting a precedent, showing that no one could silence the voiceless. As she prepared for the next battle, Maya felt a quiet strength growing inside her, a fire that no amount of coins or cruelty could extinguish. The civil trial was quieter than the criminal one, but no less intense. The courtroom was smaller, the crowd thinner, but the stakes felt higher. Maya sat beside David, her hands steady now, her eyes fixed on the judge. Karen, across the room, looked smaller, her defiance replaced by a weary slump. The evidence was laid out again. The video, the witnesses, Karen's defamatory claims online. Maya's lawyer argued that Karen's lies had damaged her reputation, her job prospects, her peace. Karen's defense was weak, leaning on her emotional distress from the incident. The judge wasn't swayed. When the ruling came, Karen, liable for defamation, ordered to pay damages. Maya didn't cheer. She felt relief, but also a strange sadness. Karen wasn't a monster, just a woman who'd let entitlement consume her. The damages weren't life-changing, but they were enough to cover Maya's tuition for a year. She donated half to the workers' rights group, a gesture that felt right. The story didn't end with the trial. Maya's life changed in ways she hadn't expected. Greenleaf promoted her to assistant manager, a role she took seriously, advocating for better training and support for staff. She kept speaking at workers' rights meetings, her story inspiring others to share theirs. Evelyn became a mentor, a grandmotherly figure who checked in weekly. Sarah and Jamal stayed in touch, their bond forged in shared courage. The internet moved on, as it always does, but Maya's spark didn't fade. She enrolled in night classes, pursuing a degree in social work, driven by a desire to help others find their voice. Liam, proud as ever, started calling her the Coin Slayer, a nickname that made her laugh. One evening, as she stood on her balcony, the city buzzing below, Maya thought about that day at the store. The coins, the chaos, the fear, it had all led her here, to a place of purpose. She wasn't defined by Karen's rage or the internet's noise. She was defined by her resilience, by the people who'd lifted her up, by the fire she'd found within. The world was still messy, still cruel in places, but it was also full of Evelyns, Sarahs, and Jamals. People who stood up, who spoke out, who cared. Maya closed her eyes, the wind cool against her face, and made a silent promise to keep fighting, not just for herself, but for everyone who'd ever been knocked down and dared to stand again. The stars above blinked, as if in agreement, and for the first time in a long time, Maya felt whole. End.